I don't know sometimes what to speak because I don't want to bore you to death, but I think sometimes I like to just talk about briefly on some of the changes in my let's see, I'm 58, 20, 36 or 7 years on tour. And it hasn't been that long. Some of you are as old as I am. And let me just give you a couple of instances on how the tour has changed. Obviously, the purses, but that's a given. When corporate America joined with the PGA Tour to sell their wares, purses went skyrocket. In 1976 to about 1980, we had range balls on tour, but you had to buy them. $1.50 a bag. Think about it. And some of us, like me, who didn't have a pot to pee in, $1.50 was tough. But we had to buy range balls. You know what? Lunch wasn't in the locker room like it is now, and you can't even get a sandwich in the locker room now on the senior tour or the regular tour. It's hot meals. Back then, lunch was a hot dog at the stand just with everybody else. Seriously. That's what it was. We had no courtesy cars. Sarah, my wife, and I was 21, she was 20 when we married, before I came on tour. Can you imagine what her father was thinking? He'll be back in the family business in a couple of years. Anyway, we drove the tour and had a ball doing it. We had an hibachi grill in the back seat. Everything we owned was in the back seat in the tour. And guess what? We had a ball. I had a ball. I'm not so sure about Sarah. We once stayed in we stayed in, for the first, 2 or 3 or 4 years, we tried to stay in a motel, not a hotel, but a motel for $18 or less a night. Tried to. Now, you certainly couldn't do that every week because of the big cities you go to, but we tried to do that. We tried to eat for $10 or less for dinner every night. A lot of cafeterias. In fact, one hotel, I always say I'm never going to say this, but I eventually do, was in Milwaukee. It was called the Edge of Town Motel. I had gone to the golf course early that Tuesday morning to practice all day long, 10 hours. When Sarah finally got her act together and was going to go with the wives to do something, she walked out of the room and the maid said, "Does your mother know where you are today?" Because the hotel had an hourly rate out front. So it had the prettiest red velour. It looked like Elvis had stayed there. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff we did. But, we had a ball. We grew together. Our dear friends on tour grew together and grew up the same way. Most of them successful to this day. It was different. Tour, a couple of little things. Tour now is such a big enterprise, but the tour when I joined had 5 employees in the entire office down in, I don't even know where we were, to be honest with you. It wasn't Jacksonville at the time. I think it was D.C. 5 employees. Now we're a huge industry with TPCs and marketing and have bought the Canadian tour, and now we're going to Asia and South America and all the above. It's a huge deal, and it's been my life forever, and I'm proud to be a part of it. But I just want to say once again that coming back here is always a special event. I don't get here very often, and I'm gonna get here more often because I live just on the coast here. But this is a special place, and every time I come here, you have your memories of an event that you played in college, or maybe an Open or a North and South. And I was lucky enough to play in the '99 Open here when Payne won, and it never disappoints when you come back. It never, ever disappoints. And going around the golf course, number 2 today that all of y'all have played, it's back to where it should be. It's back to the way it was back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Changed a bit, but we've got it back to where I think Pinehurst number 2 should be. And I look forward to the Open and the Women's Open back-to-back next year. I think it's going to be fantastic. As long as there's not a men's playoff that pushes the women's back a day.